maybe a few spots in the low to mid 40s, but we are expecting clear skies, plenty of sunshine throughout most of the day tomorrow. Temperatures will top out in the mid 50s for our Red River counties, upper 50s for the Metroplex, and then low to mid 60s the farther south you are. But as I mentioned, we do have another cold front that we're going to be tracking, and this one kind of impacts us on Wednesday more than anything else. So tomorrow, most of the day is sunny, but we do start to see the clouds building in for the afternoon. Cold front moves in late Tuesday into Wednesday. I've got rain chances at about 30%. I think it's just going to be rain, not expecting severe weather. We get this cold front to move through very quickly. Most of us just sleep through some light rain. We wake up to sunny skies yet again, but it will be much cooler once we get to Wednesday. Temperatures, high temperatures, will be topping out in the low 50s for Wednesday and Thursday, but then we have a huge rebound in temperatures, low 60s for Friday, 70 degrees as we get to Saturday. Saturday is our next chance for rain. We've got a system kind of passing to the north, but it brings a few showers around with it on Saturday, so we've got a high of 70 degrees. Sunday, mostly sunny skies again, but another cold front sweeps through, but this one only knocks us down from 64 on Sunday to 62 on Monday. I will take that for a cold front in January, Doug.
Yeah, no question. I'm right there with you. Aaron, thank you very much. In a moment, attorney Rudy Giuliani finds himself on the other side of a major lawsuit. Why he is being sued for more than $1 billion. Also had the first dogs officially calling the White House home. Champ and Major spent the day in D.C.
Your Texas Rangers want to meet you. It's the 2021 Texas Rangers Virtual Caravan, presented by Comerica Bank. Join CBS 11 and TXA 21, along with your favorite coaches and players. For details, visit TexasRangers.com/caravan. From installation, preventive service.
For over 30 years, A No. 1 Air delivers
tough as nails.
Dominion. Yeah.
Tough as Nails returns Wednesday, February 10th on CBS.
Vote auditing company Dominion Voting Systems is suing Rudy Giuliani for defamation. Giuliani is former President Trump's personal lawyer, of course. The lawsuit filed in D.C. District Court this morning claims that Giuliani pushed lies about election fraud on his podcast and also during TV appearances. Dominion is seeking $1.3 billion in damages. The first dogs officially arrived at their new home, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, this weekend. President Biden's two German shepherds named Champ and Major joined the first family in their new residence, the White House, officially on Sunday. A spokesperson for Dr. Jill Biden said that Champ is enjoying his new doggy bed, which is by the fireplace inside, while Major loves running around on the south lawn. Next at 5 o'clock, President Biden pledging to buy American, the new executive order aimed at strengthening U.S. manufacturing. Also ahead, the best states to get out and hit the open road in 2021. I'll tell you where Texas ranks next.
Saturday and Sunday, January 30th and 31st. Come to the Rio Escondido Creekfront Land Sale and get a new cottage shell on 10-plus acres for only $149.9 with an ideal centralized location and great features like high-speed fiber optic internet. Rio Escondido is the perfect place to work from home. Don't wait. Own your new cottage shell on 10-plus acres for only $149.9. Creekfront home sites are also available, so call now. 877-888-1415.
Dinner with the Drakes. Alexa, has to be to start my own for GX. Hopefully.
You know this dinner's for their
Kids. Thanks for watching them.
Where's the pizza?
The Buick Encore GX. Get this low mileage lease on this 2021 Buick Encore GX for around $189 per month. See your North Texas Buick dealers.
Hurt in a car crash? Call Angel Reyes, your 5-star injury lawyer.
I help car crash victims receive substantial money for their hassles. I'll get you all the money you deserve or you don't pay me.
Call 855-MY-ANGEL or visit angelreyes.com.
I bought a lot of cars in my lifetime, but the easiest one I've ever bought was on Land with Click.
You can get pre-qualified in minutes on a new or used vehicle of your choice with no impact to your credit score. Enter your trade information and select the payment option that is best for you. Come see Clay.
Make your stimulus go further at HEB's Stimulus Savings Event. Get $100 back after mail-in rebate on 4 select tires. And on top of that, get a $70 Visa reward card with purchase of 4 Mission Michelin tires. Plus, this week only, get select Michelin tires installed for free. That's a total of $170 off and free installation on Michelin tires. Now that's stimulating. Don't miss the Stimulus Savings Event. Only at TV.
All new at 5 o'clock, President Biden this afternoon signed an executive order to strengthen American manufacturing. It starts a process now to make good on a campaign promise to strengthen federal Buy American rules. A similar order was signed by former President Trump. It reportedly had little effect because his administration waited until his second to last day in office to formalize changes. An administration official did say President Biden will set a 180-day deadline now to deliver on these changes. The idea is to use tax money to buy Americans and support American jobs. And a new survey finds Texas has a more trouble-free commute than any other state. The personal finance site Wallet Hub ranking Texas right at the top, followed by Indiana and then North Carolina. Wallet Hub based its list on factors like traffic congestion, average gas prices, and auto theft rates as well. Nora O'Donnell, what is coming up on the CBS Evening News?
Good evening, Doug. Coming up after CBS 11 News at 5. President Biden ups his goal, saying every American who wants a vaccine can get one by spring, and pledging
Oh my God,
1
please.
million doses a day. Plus, the article of impeachment against former President Trump makes its way to the Senate. Tonight, as members of Congress receive new threats on Capitol Hill. And the GOAT and the Kid. The Super Bowl showdown is set between Tampa Bay and Kansas City, right here on CBS. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
They're trying. They put in that
Time to get up, sweetie.
enacted that order where that's like wartime.
Most people might not think much about all the little
So
things
do
you do
whatever
every
you have to
day.
do to make it. Let's, what is it called?
The big question tonight, where are the vaccines? The federal government doesn't know how many doses are available, as drug makers say they're delivering at least 12 million a week. So why are some states running out? Tonight, President Biden makes a bold promise, saying every American who wants a vaccine should be able to get one by the spring, and that the U.S. could give 1.5 million doses a day.
It's going to be a logistical challenge that exceeds anything we've ever tried.
New travel ban prohibiting foreign travelers from Brazil, Britain, Ireland, South Africa, and 26 European countries from entering the U.S. as a new variant is found here in America. Impeachment trial begins. The House delivers the article of impeachment to the Senate, where 100 senators become the judge and jury. Undoing the Trump legacy. As the new defense secretary is sworn in, President Biden reverses the ban on transgender people serving in the military. Getting back to school. The national plan to get students back in the classroom as teachers in Chicago vote to keep remote learning. And why a shocking rise in student suicides led one city to reopen its doors. Triple storm threat. Nearly 110 million Americans brace for winter weather. Protests turn violent. Tacoma, Washington on edge tonight. In the doghouse, the president's beloved German shepherds arrive at the White House. Near perfect performance. UCLA gymnast jaw-dropping floor routine. And a Super Bowl matchup for the ages as the GOAT takes on the Kid.
This is the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell, reporting from the nation's capital.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We're going to begin with some news that is just coming in tonight. The first case of a highly contagious new variant of the coronavirus from Brazil has been discovered right here in the U.S. A dangerous development, not only because it spreads faster than the virus that's already here, but because scientists worry that vaccines may not be as effective at stopping new strains of this virus. Now, the discovery of the new case comes at the same time concerns are growing nationwide about a shortage of vaccine doses. From coast to coast, tonight states say they are canceling appointments they've made to give people shots and are pulling back on plans to open mass vaccination sites because they don't have enough doses to give out. Well, meantime, the White House and the CDC say they still don't know exactly how many vaccine doses the U.S. government has available to send the states. And they're blaming the confusion on the Trump administration, saying it didn't provide the new president or his team with detailed information about the government's stockpile. Now, all of that is leading to finger-pointing and frustration as hundreds of millions of Americans wait for their shots. President Biden,
as he was going out. Now, why would you do that?
Because he knew he would, I guess.
No, he knew. He put it back in place.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well, they was talking the other day about him lifting it.
Listen, let me tell you, so you can learn something. Trump, had put all these travel bans, not the Muslim ban, that from these countries that have like Britain and all that have a bunch of COVID cases. Trump had put a ban on them. Well, when he's going out the door, he lifted the ban. Just to say, okay, y'all come in, and Biden, of course, like overrode him and said, no, we're gonna leave the ban for non-American.
But open up the Muslim ban. That makes a lot of sense.
Danny, we're trying to. I get really tired. If there is anything this man can do, that I mean,
Ain't nothing, no, nothing.
Well, quite clearly. Good Lord, man.
He told reporters late today he's hopeful his new administration will have
No, it's not.
plan
No, it's
in
not.
the next 3 weeks
No,
to
it's
start
not.
giving 1.5 million shots a day. But tonight there are critics that say that timeline isn't fast enough, especially with those new strains right here in the U.S.
This man lied to the American public for the longest time, and ignorant people believed him. And, told people go around without a mask. I mean, so they're not all the same.
Something I don't know. I know all that, or that's what I've heard. What I'm saying is every time we get a new one, it don't make a shit whether he's Democrat, Republican. They blame everything on the previous administration.
Okay, in this case,
But
I don't
yeah,
know
I
how
mean,
you
in
can
this
say
case,
that
it's
it's
all
not his
it's all
fault.
right.
Because there's over 400,000 people dead. It didn't have to be. I don't really understand when people are going to stop saying, well, it just divides the country when we impeach him. My God, man, he's a criminal.
Yeah, he is. I understand all that.
Have new reporting on this, and our team is standing by to explain it all. CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti is going to lead off our coverage tonight from Los Angeles. Good evening, Jonathan.
Good evening, Nora. Health officials say it's the first time they identified the variant from Brazil here in the U.S., which is putting more pressure on the process to vaccinate people. Here at Dodger Stadium, nearly 13,000 people every single day line up for vaccines. Still, many more can't even get a shot because of an issue with the supply.
Tonight, new concerns over the vaccine rollout. At its current pace, California won't vaccinate even half its residents until Thanksgiving. New York hitting pause on using stadiums as mass vaccination sites.
We don't have the supply of vaccine we need. We urgently need more supply.
Well, what they're saying is that people are coming and being vaccinated and not showing any proof of any kind of health problem or anything. And
a finger pause on use.
That's what they
new
were saying
concerns
there.
over the vaccine.
You tell me that man's over 65.
He's probably a healthcare worker or a teacher.
Well, there you go. That's probably
California
what it is.
Well, I mean, people have to be
Can't
able
even
to
get a
take
shot
care of
because of an
people.
issue with the
Absolutely.
supply.
And I don't think anybody else ought to
Tonight,
get
new
one
concerns
until
over the
them
vaccine
people do.
rollout. At its current pace, California won't vaccinate even half its residents until Thanksgiving.
But I've
New York
seen a lot
hitting
of people
pause
in
on
them
using
lines
stadiums
and
as mass
everything.
vaccination sites.
We don't have the supply of
And that's
vaccine
what
we
I was
need. We
thinking,
urgently need more supply.
Tonight, the White House is pointing the finger squarely at the Trump administration.
The confusion around this issue, which we acknowledge there is some confusion, speaks to a larger problem, which is what we're inheriting from the prior administration, which is much worse than we could have imagined.
Today, the president said his administration is getting a handle on supply issues.
I think it'll be this spring. I think we'll be able to do that this spring. But it's going to be a logistical challenge that exceeds anything we've ever tried in this country, but I think we can do that.
The CDC saying that of 41 million doses shipped by the federal government, only 22 million have been administered.
It's not easy to get doses from where you go in the vial all through the transportation into people's arms, particularly underserved communities, to get it to people. So if people think that's easy, it's not. It gets hard, and it'll get harder.
For its part, Moderna, in a statement to CBS News, says we continue to be on track with our expectations of delivering 100 million doses of vaccine by the end of March. And there's new urgency tonight. California now has its own mutant strain, which, like the UK variant, is far more contagious. Researchers believe it began in July, mostly lying dormant, and then exploding by November, dominating new cases.
In Southern California, it's 40% now.
The good news for the Golden State.
There was a huge surge after Thanksgiving. There was less of a surge after Christmas, and there was even less of a surge after New Year's. So I think, we've now turned the corner in terms of new cases.
Today, Governor Gavin Newsom lifted some of the state's stay-at-home restrictions. Outdoor dining and hair salons among the things that will now return to 90% of state residents.
Does the governor risk sending a mixed message?
There's seldom a day goes by in government where you don't risk sending a mixed message. And you have to make small changes and make sure you don't overstep one way or the other.
But the surest way out of the pandemic is vaccines.
We have to step up our game. I want to get over this idea that we could get to 600,000 American deaths. That is unacceptable. I would consider that a national failure. This has to become the #1 priority for our nation.
And President Biden says he hopes to up the number of doses to 1.5 million a day. Here in LA, the mayor announcing that restaurants can open for outdoor dining starting on Friday for what is the first time since Thanksgiving, Nora.
Wow, Jonathan Vigliotti, thank you. Well, tonight the clock is starting on President Trump's second Senate trial as House managers present an article of impeachment. It accuses the former president of inciting an insurrection by whipping up that mob that stormed the Capitol with false stories of election fraud. CBS's Chris Van Cleve reports tonight.
I don't understand, but you're kind of middle of the road, and you do this whataboutism, both sides, are equally evil. How do Republicans not convict him?
Oh, no.
Because they're saying that they won't have enough to convict him. Because they're going to need, if every Democrat votes to convict, knowing what you know,
I thought they took control of the Senate.
They're going to need 17 senators to rise to the vote tally, because it takes 2/3 of the Senate to impeach and convict a president, ex-president, or whatever. But my thing is, I can't even wrap my mind around the justification. It's not something somebody said, or you didn't have to read about it. You saw it with your own eyes, night after night, and all this stuff is coming out. So, because you can get in the head of a Republican better than I can, because that's the party you relate to. How do they do that and get away with not convicting him, not holding him accountable? Do you think?
Politician. And that's the only thing I can tell you. Is there's some of them that they will stay with the party. It don't make a shit if they see one of them shoot somebody. I don't know. I don't know. They lie so damn much, and
there's no
and everything. I don't.
There's
know what to tell people.
Well, there's no he said, she said You saw
We
it with
seen
your
it
own
on
eyes.
TV.
Yeah, with your own
Millions
eyes.
of people.
And they were in the building when it all went down. They were coming. The crazy people were coming for them. I don't even know. To me, the only thing that makes any sense is there's money involved. They are bought off, or they are holding.
Well, I don't put it past
They're holding something so bad over their heads that they're willing to prostitute themselves. I don't
What
know.
they need to do is have, of course, I realize this is costing a lot of the taxpayers buku
It won't
of
cost.
taxes.
It won't cost as much as his golf trips. So
What
there
I'm
you go.
saying is they need to call. So it's just like that lady that they busted over here, that she was at that deal, and she figured she thought that Trump was going to give her a pardon and all that bullshit. And they need to get people up there. And then I seen her on TV the other time.
Wanting money.
No.
For her defense.
Oh yeah. Is she doing
Oh
that
yeah,
now?
she wants to GoFundMe because she's going to have to go back to Washington for her trial.
Well, now she's saying that she wouldn't have done that if it hadn't have been for him, you know, and what he said, and so call them people to testify.
But see,
you know,
here's another thing. Then you get all kinds of fun. Here's the Republican, the Republican talking points now. He's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
So if you
destroy
prosecute
the
him,
nation.
it's gonna the unity. We have no unity. It's and my thing about it is you made the point. Well, I realize this is costing a lot of money. Well, guess what? Security for him, and if you do not prosecute him and hold him accountable and never let him hold another public office, he is going to keep on and destroy any Republican. There was a time I thought the Republicans stood for something, and I don't even know. And there's all this talking. Well, Mitch McConnell has to weigh if it's more beneficial for him to do the right thing. Do the right thing.
I don't know what the right thing is. They don't understand being right as far as the people of the country is concerned.
Those chickens are coming home to roost. So that Dominion, those people are going to sue him because he got up there and tried to lie about, and their company's taking a hit for it. It's going to be like a soap opera the next few
Yeah, and
weeks.
that fucking John Roberts. I tell him, what's your problem?
Well,
you will, according to the Constitution, you will do that. You will preside over that.
Well,
you know.
no, according to that's okay. I mean, he did a shit job the last time because they should have had witnesses. If you would have got him out of there, none of what happened afterwards would have happened. And I really don't believe, I don't like Pence. I'm no fan of his because to me, he's enabled him. But he's got a brain in his head, and he would not have sat there and let Americans die needlessly. He would have done the mass mandate. I mean, but this guy bullied everybody.
He blew his chance. Well, as far as I'm concerned, they've all blew their chance for me ever voting for him again. If he won't let these big money people tell him what to do or buy off the Senate and all that shit, he'll be a good president, I think. Now, I didn't have no use for him when he was
Well, I'm going to tell you
in the
this.
Senate.
This is, they're not just fighting the MAGA people. They are fighting Russia and China. This is in Saudi Arabia, and this is
Iran.
Yeah, a full-blown attempt to gut, like you said that last night, gut the American economy And they are doing it. They are running America. And like you said, they'll swoop in and pick up the scraps.
That's exactly what's going on.
And these people wrapped
I
in
didn't
Trump
think
crap.
I'd be able to see it.
Well, yeah. These people wrapped around in Trump crap and still spouting his bullshit. They need to stay away from me. Because, ooh, I don't have no patience for it anymore. This is a disgrace.
I just fired that son of a bitch up like I had good sense. Get the free breed.
Are you done with this, Squawk?
No, I'm gonna eat it.
Brown. You need to eat it.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I'm gonna eat it.
It'll come back to life.
I mean, not gonna lie, it do be good though. I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish it. This ice legit just melted into one big chunk of Kronk water.
I'm gonna go put these on your bed, okay? For tonight.
Okay.
Did you get hot?
I was gonna have all three of them on me, but I was just like, I can't even put them all together. And the problem is I don't know how to whenever they're all bunched up together. Ah! My leg is being itchy. And it hurts. much English. Okay, that actually hurts.
Well, your little flower out there is changing colors again.
Because it got enough sun. Huh?
Yeah.
It's solar powered.
Yeah, it's like green. Pretty. Way too fast. Right heel.
You okay?
Felt real good. Yeah.
Your back, is it still itchy?
Yeah, I got up against that tree out there and scratched it. It started itching. I got up against that tree out there and scratched it. It started itching.
Oh boy.
A little bit.
With thousands of National Guards surrounding the Capitol and law enforcement warning of new violent threats against lawmakers, the Senate is barreling towards an impeachment trial tonight. Republicans are now crying foul after Democrats announced one of their own will preside over the proceedings. 80-year-old Patrick Leahy of Vermont, though that is what the Constitution allows.
He basically is operating as a judge and a juror, and he's got a conflict of interest.
With the trial set to begin in 2 weeks, 17 Republicans will be needed to convict Mr. Trump, and none so far have said they would.
I think the trial is stupid, and I think it's counterproductive.
With some calling it an unconstitutional sham that should be boycotted. But most constitutional scholars acknowledge a former president can be impeached.
The theory that the Senate can't try former officials would amount to a constitutional get-out-of-jail-free card for any president who commits an impeachable offense.
New threats against lawmakers involved in the impeachment trial are once again putting Congress on edge, with law enforcement sources telling CBS News social media chatter includes talk of attacking members of Congress as they travel to and from the Capitol. As a result, 5,000 National Guard will remain in Washington through March. One of the January 6th rioters arrested last week for allegedly assaulting a federal officer, Scott Fairlamb of New Jersey, is reportedly the brother of a Secret Service agent who led former First Lady Michelle Obama's security detail. And we're learning tonight nearly 140 police officers who responded to the riot here at the Capitol were injured during that unrest. Looking ahead to tomorrow, all 100 senators will be sworn in as impeachment jurors, and a summons will be sent to President Trump. Nora?
Chris Van Cleve at the Capitol, thank you. Well, tonight, CBS News has learned President Biden will issue an executive order on Wednesday calling for action to fight climate change. The president has already signed more than 30 executive orders in his first 6 days in office as he seeks to undo the Trump legacy. CBS's Nancy Cordes reports from the White House.
Thank you very much.
Flanked by his defense secretary and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, President Biden ended the ban on transgender troops today.
And what I'm doing is enabling all qualified Americans to serve the country in uniform.
President Trump had imposed the ban in 2017. Before that, there were an estimated 15,500 transgender people serving in active duty and the reserves and guard.
I'm doing the military a great favor.
In another reversal today from the
He never did the military a great favor.
Re-established a COVID-related travel ban on non-Americans coming from Brazil, the UK, Ireland, and 26 European countries, plus South Africa. President Trump had lifted that ban just before leaving office last week. In an interview with Margaret Brennan of Face the Nation, Dr. Deborah Birx said Mr. Trump was often working off of bad data about the virus.
Until the day I left, I'm convinced there were parallel data streams because
disinformation.
I saw the president presenting graphs that I never made. So I know that someone out there or someone inside was creating a parallel set of data and graphics that were shown to the president.
President Biden warned today that even a big boost in vaccine distribution won't dramatically change the course of the pandemic over the next 2 months. But mask wearing, he argued, will.
If we wear masks between now and the end of April, the experts tell us we can save 50,000 lives. 50,000 people otherwise would die.
From the Oval Office today, the president's dogs could be heard barking. Major and Champ joined the First family over the weekend and will now call the White House home. Tonight, Janet Yellen has just been confirmed by the Senate to serve as Treasury Secretary, the first woman to ever hold that position. But the lion's share of President Biden's cabinet picks are still awaiting confirmation, including his choice for Secretary of State. Nora?
Nancy Cordes at the White House. Thank you, Nancy. Tonight, the nation's new Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is ordering a review of the military's sexual assault and prevention programs. The murder last year of Fort Hood soldier Vanessa Guillen brought new attention to the pervasive culture of assault and harassment in the military. CBS News spent more than a year investigating how the military treats victims of sexual assault and found a consequential failure to address the needs of service members who
who are traumatized and harassed as they try to carry out their duty to defend the country. So we'll have more when that report is released. All right, turning now overseas, a new COVID lockdown in the Netherlands has sparked violent protests that continue tonight. Protesters have fought with police in several Dutch cities, setting fires to buildings. Hundreds of arrests have been made since the protests started over the weekend. The lockdown includes a 9 p.m. curfew. That's the first in the Netherlands since World War II. President Biden has vowed to reopen schools, kindergarten through 8th grade, in his first 100 days in office. Health experts say that requires resources that some schools don't yet have. And tonight, more than half of all U.S. students are learning from home at least some of the time. And teachers in many districts are reluctant to return to the classroom, setting up a clash with parents. Here's CBS's Janet Shamlian.
Classrooms were empty today in the nation's third largest school district, after the Chicago Teachers Union voted to defy an order to return to in-person learning. Parents like Ryan Griffin are frustrated. He says his 6-year-old first grader is suffering.
Why do you want your son to go back to school?
We're seeing the social emotional strain that, continued remote learning is having on him, and we need a path forward.
In Las Vegas, there's a push to reopen amid a surge in student suicides. Teachers are concerned about students' mental health and their own safety.
If we don't get our vaccines, it's not safe for us to be back in the buildings.
Across the country, it's a patchwork of guidelines.
I don't blame
Some students
them.
haven't been in a classroom since March. Others attending in person every day since fall. In Texas, where schools are largely required to stay open, Austin Public Schools set up free COVID testing drive-through sites for students and staff as cases there soared. Parents still had the option of keeping kids home.
What we saw kind of across the country when there were a lot of districts and schools that went completely remote is, as far as education and academics, it wasn't best for all kids, and it actually was harmful.
The tension over whether to keep schools open apparent in Cobb County, Georgia, where 3 teachers died within a month after an employee asked school board members who weren't wearing masks at a meeting to put them on in honor of one of the teachers. They refused.
Your actions in these 2 minutes have spoken louder than words.
Janet Shamlian, CBS News, Houston.
All right, tonight, nearly 110 million Americans are in the path of a major winter storms, both in the West and Midwest. Cars are sliding off I-70 in Kansas today, and the threat of snow and ice stretches all the way to New England. Let's get the forecast now from CBS's Lonnie.
Oh my God.
What happened?
You're right. There are
Nothing.
two storms I've got my eye on right now. One is in the Midwest, one is offshore the Pacific Northwest. But let's start off with that storm in the Midwest, because this is going to end up being, so far this season, the biggest storm you've had in that area. The Corn Belt, you'll pick up, 1 to 2 feet of snow. By the time it gets to Chicago, it's going to put down about 6 inches. And then as it moves to the east, it's going to lose a lot of its energy, but not all of its energy. New York City will pick up, by the time tomorrow's going to be 1 to 3 inches of snow. But let's start talking about what's going on out west. There's a river of moisture coming on shore. Look at these rainfall totals. The Central Coast picks up 8 inches of rain, but I'm more concerned about the Bay Area. The Bay Area, the home to some of the biggest wildfires in the state's history. Evacuated in the mountains north will pick up 8 to 10 feet of snow before the week is over, and that's the latest.
Big story this week is the weather. Lonnie Quinn, thank you so much. And there is still much more news ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News. A city on edge after a police cruiser barrels through a crowd. And a gymnast floor routine that left all of us mesmerized.
Sure, your health insurance tells you to see a doctor, but...
Well, she's damn good. She beat out that little black girl that done stood in them other.
Police officer drove his cruiser through a crowd on edge after
Found out about non-surgical treatment. They make it so fun and fabulous. When I was diagnosed with Dupuytren's contraction, I waited to get treated.
Fires were set. Tonight, Tacoma, Washington remains on edge after protests turned violent Sunday night. Multiple fires were set, some businesses damaged. The protest followed a disturbing incident Saturday when a police officer drove his cruiser through a crowd that was blocking an intersection. At least 2 people were hurt. Well, tonight, the officer is on paid leave. Mia Dennis has done it again. The UCLA gymnast went viral with her latest floor routine. She says it celebrates black excellence, combining dance moves with jaw-dropping flips, a reflection of, quote, everything I am today as a woman, she said. The judges, well, they gave her a 9.95 out of 10. And I have to say, it looks like a perfect 10 to us. Coming up next, the countdown to the most intriguing quarterback matchup in Super Bowl history.
Guess like Delilah got on her essay.
News, you can listen. Subscribe.
Yes.
Got an 80.
Yeah, she got 100.
100?
100.
Right. Sound like Mimi done, you done real good, huh?
Yeah.
It's a joint effort.
Wherever you get your podcasts. Sponsored by
Using less or
training.
To the Super Bowl is having to wait 2 weeks to see the best quarterback right now face the best of all time. CBS's Mola Lenghi has a preview.
he's got the first down and this game's over.
Super Bowl 55 is set. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. A Super Bowl home game for the Bucs, as if QB Tom Brady, the so-called GOAT, or greatest of all time, needed an advantage. The six-time champ has now led a second team to the Super Bowl in just his first year with the franchise. But standing in his way, superstar Patrick Mahomes, who has established himself as the face and future of the NFL. This highlight machine is leading his Chiefs to their second straight Super Bowl. No easy task. In fact, the last QB to win back-to-back Super Bowls? Guess who? Tom Brady in 04 and 05. Just a few years after winning his first Super Bowl in 2002. Guess what Mahomes was up to in 02? Kindergarten. One was reading defenses while the other was learning how to read.
What is it?
Likely the knockout punch.
Think about it. Brady is old enough to be Mahomes' father. Then again, is your dad playing in the Super Bowl?
Brady goes for the deep shot.
This is a generational showdown. The old guard taking on the new guard. The 43-year-old legend against the 25-year-old kid. Just in time, a battle for the ages to entertain, distract, and make us once again
Kid.
feel like
For some reason, that kind of makes me mad because whenever someone's 25, they're an adult. But I mean, they're in. Yeah.
We'll be right back.
For some reason, that makes me mad. I don't know why.
CBS Evening News is sponsored by.
Well, don't get mad, girl.
Where former President Donald Trump will be. Report on Norah O'Donnell in Washington. We're coming on the air with breaking news because the House of Representatives is about to deliver an article of impeachment to the Senate, where former President Donald Trump will be put on trial for inciting the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. Now, after he delivered a fiery speech alleging election fraud, a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol as Congress counted electoral votes in Joe Biden's victory. Well, today's action comes 1 year and 10 days after the House delivered 2 articles of impeachment against then-President Trump, who was acquitted by the Senate. He is the first president to be impeached twice and will be the first to go on trial after leaving office. Now, conviction would seem like a long shot. At least 17 Republicans would have to join Democrats to vote to convict. Many Republicans have objected even holding this trial post-presidency, calling it unconstitutional. So what we're about to see right now is a rare ceremony. This is the House clerk and 9 House managers led by Maryland Democrat Jamie Raskin will walk the article over to the Senate side of the Capitol. Raskin will read the article against Mr. Trump on the Senate floor. The House managers will be the ones to present the evidence at the trial, which is expected to begin the week of February 8th. And CBS News has confirmed that Senator Patrick Leahy is expected to preside over the trial, not Chief Justice John Roberts, because Mr. Trump is no longer president. Now, we should note that only 3 presidents have ever been impeached. Donald Trump, now twice. Let's go to CBS's Nicole Killian. She is at the Capitol. And Nicole, we're just about to see through these doors, these impeachment managers walk through Statuary Hall to the Senate floor. Who did Speaker Pelosi select to present this case?
Well, it's
as you mentioned, there are 9 impeachment managers who have been selected, and in talking to some of them and their aides, they tell us that they are ready. They are ready for this moment this evening. They are ready for tonight. They are ready for this trial and really ready to move forward. They have been meeting regularly as a team and will continue to do so after tonight to prepare for the upcoming trial. They have been relatively tight-lipped about their strategy and whether they will introduce any new evidence, but the article that lead impeachment manager Jamie Raskin will read aloud tonight on the Senate floor offers a bit of a blueprint. It accuses former President Trump of inciting violence against the U.S. government and encouraging lawless acts when he held that rally back on January 6th. The article also points to his alleged attempts to obstruct election results based on that call that he had with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. And of course, the impeachment managers now walking over to the Senate, where we will hear more of that article. Nora.
That's right, Nicole. They are being led by the House Clerk, Cheryl Johnson, and the acting House Sergeant of Arms, Timothy Blodgett, because, of course, the original Sergeant of Arms stepped down
next
after
time somebody
the
says, well, we ought to give
You mentioned the 9
businessman
impeachment managers there, Democratic representatives from the House, the impeachment manager, Jamie Raskin of Maryland, who we're going to see read this impeachment article on the floor. He actually wrote part of this article along with 2 other managers while he was sheltering in place during the riot on January 6th. They started to draft it even while they feared for what was happening just outside where they were sheltering in place. Let's bring in CBS's congressional correspondent, Chris Van Cleve. He's there inside the Capitol. And Chris, I know you've been talking to many members there. What would the strategy be by the Republican leader Mitch McConnell, who has said that this mob was provoked by the president? There's a discussion that he wants this trial to be about Congress's authority, not about loyalty to Trump, in hopes of perhaps gaining some Republican votes to convict.
Well, Nora, the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has said that this will be a vote of conscience, that he's not going to be trying to whip the votes, try to line up yeses and nos. Instead, he's going to let this play out. The fact is that you need 17 Republicans to vote to convict President Trump, which seems like a tough sell given the pressure many Republicans are feeling from Trump supporters and Trump donors. And just looking at what happened in the House for those 10 lawmakers from the Republican side who voted to impeach the president, they are all suffering the repercussions now. Liz Cheney, in fact, is facing a battle to keep her position in House leadership. So there clearly is pressure on Republicans to side with the president. And given the split and President Trump's popularity inside the Republican Party, it does seem like it's a tough sell. So if you're Mitch McConnell, your best strategy may be to stay out of the way and let your members vote so that you are not necessarily targeted beyond simply saying you're protecting the Constitution. I think that's what you'll see from the minority leader here.
I want to bring in CBS News Chief Washington Correspondent Major Garrett. And what is the Mitch McConnell strategy?
Well, Chris Van Cleve just said if he could, he'd like to stay out of the way. Impeachment doesn't permit that. Impeachment is a deeply public act, even in the aftermath of a presidency. And Donald Trump's presidency, Nora, many times while it was going on, strained, sparked the circuitry of convention in Washington. It does so even in its afterlife. We've never seen a second presidential impeachment, let alone one after the presidency is left. And this is essentially the House speaking to the Senate. This is the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, I think welcoming the House members into the chamber.
Right. The hour of 7 p.m. having arrived, the acting Sergeant at Arms will present the managers on the part of the House of Representatives.
Chief Justice John Roberts is not going to preside over it. He didn't want to, nor is he required, since it's not a sitting president. So they have chosen Senator Patrick Leahy because he is the Senate President pro tem, which means he's the longest serving senator.
I announce the presence of the managers on the part of the House of Representatives to conduct proceedings on behalf of the House concerning the impeachment of Donald John Trump, former President of the United States.
The managers on the part of the House will be received and escorted to the well of the Senate.
God, I
We're gonna
like
hear
Patrick
the lead
Leahy,
manager,
but
Mitch and Jamie
geez,
Raskin, read
he mumbles
the
his way through
article
stuff.
shortly. This
They
is
needed
the
somebody
Senate floor.
dynamic.
So this is on the other side of the Capitol. That's why they walked through Statuary Hall from the House side in order to deliver this. This is the formal proceeding.
Right, and this is a rare occurrence. House members are typically not on the Senate floor. They would only be invited in under very special circumstances. Impeachment of a president, either current or former, is definitely a special circumstance. Jamie Raskin, in addition to being a member of Congress for years and years, taught constitutional law, knows it well, speaks it well.
All persons are commanded to keep silent on pain of imprisonment while the House of Representatives is exhibiting to the Senate of the United States an article of impeachment against Donald John Trump, former President of the United States.
The managers on the part of the House will proceed.
Mr. President, the managers on the part of the House of Representatives are here and present and ready to present the article of impeachment, which has been preferred by the House of Representatives against Donald John Trump, former President of the United States. The House adopted the following resolution, which with the permission of the Senate, I will read. House Resolution 40 in the House of Representatives, United States, January 13th, 2021, resolved that Mr. Raskin, Ms. DeGette, Mr. Cicilline, Mr. Castro of Texas, Mr. Swalwell, Mr. Liu, Ms. Plaskett, Mr. Neguse, and Ms. Dean are appointed managers to conduct the impeachment trial against Donald John Trump, President of the United States, that a message be sent to the Senate to inform the Senate of the appointments, and that the manager so appointed may, in connection with the preparation and the conduct of the trial, exhibit the article of impeachment to the Senate and take all other actions necessary, which may include the following: employing legal, clerical, and other necessary assistance, and incurring such other expenses as may be necessary to be paid from amounts available to the Committee on the Judiciary under applicable expense resolutions or from the applicable accounts of the House of Representatives. 2, sending for persons and papers and filing with the Secretary of the Senate on the part of the House of Representatives any pleadings in conjunction with or subsequent to the exhibition of the articles of impeachment that the managers consider necessary. Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House of Representatives. With the permission of the Senate, I will now read the article of impeachment. House Resolution 24 in the House of Representatives, United States, January 13th, 2021. Resolved that Donald John Trump, President of the United States, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, and that the following article of impeachment be exhibited to the United States Senate. Article of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States of America in the name of itself and of the people of the United States of America against Donald John Trump, President of the United States of America, in maintenance and support of its impeachment against him for high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 1, incitement of insurrection. The Constitution provides that the House of Representatives shall have the sole power of impeachment, and the President shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Further, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution prohibits any person who has, quote, engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the United States from holding any office under the United States, unquote. In his conduct while President of the United States and in violation of his constitutional oath faithfully to execute the office of the President of the United States and to the best of his ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and in violation of his constitutional duty to take care that the laws be faithfully executed, Donald John Trump engaged in high crimes and misdemeanors by inciting violence against the government,
time of heightened security around the Capitol. You know, the Capitol's now surrounded by a 7-foot unscalable wall and thousands of National Guard troops. 5,000 of those National Guard troops will be kept on duty here in Washington through March because law enforcement, we have learned here at CBS News, is seeing an uptick in online chatter that is making some concerning threats towards lawmakers potentially trying to target them leaving or arriving at the Capitol, and a lot of this is stemming from the ongoing impeachment. So not only do you have the pressure many Republicans are feeling from their own party, but you have an uptick in threatening chatter about the impeachment process in general. Nora?
Right. The threat context still very real, as Chris Van Cleve points out, and why there is still an enormous security presence surrounding the United States Capitol and will be for quite some time. Let's bring in CBS's Nancy Cordes. She is at the White House, and yet, Nancy, all of this, of course, an impeachment trial dominating the first couple of weeks of the Biden administration. Do they believe there at the White House that complicates their very ambitious agenda?
Well, they are relieved, Nora, that there's going to be this 2-week break so that President Biden's cabinet members can go through the confirmation process. After all, most of them are either awaiting their confirmation hearings or awaiting a confirmation vote, and he would very much like to have his cabinet on board. We just saw Janet Yellen, his Treasury Secretary, confirmed tonight. He's hoping that his Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, will be confirmed tomorrow. The White House doesn't see much of a strategic advantage to wading into all of this, however, and talking a lot about the timing and the length of the trial. They say that is a matter for the Senate to decide. They're hoping that the Senate can do its work even as it conducts this Senate trial. There was even some talk that bubbled up today about whether Vice President Kamala Harris should actually be presiding over this trial because she is technically, as Vice President, the presiding officer of the Senate. And the White House quickly batted that down, said, no, Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont will do just fine. They don't believe that this is an appropriate role for the Vice President. So they're really trying to keep this trial at arm's length and to say that this is something that is for Congress to decide, for Congress to work out the timing. They're hard at work on their own agenda.
Nancy Cordes, thank you. And, when we think about all of this, the U.S. Capitol, which was the scene of the crime, the president impeached on the very House floor, where many of the rioters tried to